compel the completion of the contract.
Correct.
If they fail to complete the contract, the bonding has to step in and get the project completed.
Correct.
So that's why I mentioned insurance companies. I understand that. But yet, if a person's prepared, and if they're in that particular field, it requires that. If they walk right in and they've been doing local community electrical work, they never had that even addressed, some. And now they want to take a step up, then that's why the question, because sometimes that's a little bit difficult for young business and small business to accomplish. And how about, do you give any assistance to or referrals to a company that is working with you, that you've accepted that you are going to work with them? Are banks working with you or your organization to help finance?
I do not.
You aren't into
We do not do loans.
Yeah,
we do not assist them with that. I'll work with clients in making sure that they accumulate their indirect and direct costs appropriately so they can be audited by the federal government. However, the basic infrastructure of an accounting system and how they do their business is done. That's our sister agency again. The SBDC helps them with that, and I work with many clients at the same time that the SBDC's working with them in helping them develop their marketing strategy or their capabilities, or are they certified online as a small business? We explain what is a NAIC code and FSC code, PSC. So, I can go on and on. There's a big maze of acronyms that you have to wade through and understand before you can really do business.
Do you think, Mary Lee, with that, that does sound like it's a lot of acronyms, and each acronym means there's a reason for having that organization, and it was put there for a reason. But do you feel like that people feel, small businesses, particularly service businesses, and not high-tech. High-tech seemed to have been, you were so much part of that in your own business. It was such a demand for it, I believe. And is that still the case?
Oh, yeah.
In high-tech?
You still need to look at, well, it's like when you talk high-tech, what is high-tech to your organization? So what I try to do is to get a company to look at what their niche market is. What do they do that is the best, for that they have the most success with? And we then try to find out where they're going, which agency buys what it is they do, and then determine what type of problems are within that agency that this high-tech company can resolve. Sometimes, most of the agencies either are dealing with IDIQ contracts, that's indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, or GSA schedules. And what we have to do is figure out where are you going to sell and what schedule or IDIQ contract in the high-tech area do you need to belong on or be a subcontractor on. Usually they start out as subcontractors, small business, because they don't have the line of credit or the wherewithal in order to support or float a payroll, say, for 90 to 120 days, which is really what a small business has to be able to do.
Yeah, that's one of the other questions I had, and I know a good many people that do business with the District of Columbia, and one of the problems they've had is prompt response to their invoices. I hope they have no problem now, because it's been a while since I've talked to a few of those people. And sometimes what discourages them, I may say, and it sounds like you're doing great work, it sounds like your experience, really I think you can appreciate this. And I happen to have the story of a subcontractor, and there was one letter of a word that was put on the building they completed that was wrong, had to be reinstalled, and all of the invoices were held up for that one element of completion. And that was the general contractor's duty, but the subcontractor was delayed also, 6 months.
Yes, I believe
And
that.
it's just almost like one room of a hotel that haven't got completed, and the owner chooses to say you got to complete that room. I don't think that was that different. But so I think it's a great thing you're doing, and it's worthy, and I feel real good about spreading the word to businesses I know.
Thank you.
That there are opportunities to get help.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many, it's happening every day, even in our economy like this. Certain things go on. Quite frankly, we could just name a lot.
Okay.
Certain things are happening. Your hot water heater's got to work, or you're going to have to get it fixed, for instance, in a home. The same thing's happening all the time in companies and in businesses.
That's correct.
I mean, the government. But is there a chance that, in your opinion, there's going to be a reduction in procurement? To me, it looks like I can get the feel for the last few months that there's some potential increase in getting some things done because it puts people to work. And Maryland's quite blessed with a lower employment figure. We used to be considered, I think, by some of my political friends as a depression-proof state because of our association with the federal government, so being a neighbor. Same thing with parts of Virginia.
Sure.
So the interesting thing, if there's a slowdown of purchasing, and yet there's certain things that are not staying the same without assistance from contractors, assistance from business to maintain it. So there's certain things in the government you cannot cut back. There's just not going to be possible to cut every dollar spent by the federal government.
That's correct.
There's some adjustments I could see that's going to be made. Does this also, is it going to reduce some incentive for a lot of young business people? When I say young, I mean young in business age, not their age. I met a guy the other day that was ready to retire from a firm, and he was looking forward to going to a business. And he no doubt would be an ideal prospect for you because of his, but he doesn't have the business experience, so that would send to one of your other agencies. So the thing about, to fulfill your mission, you're reaching out to people in every way with your workshop. No doubt you do a lot of you meet and greet programs, as you said, like similar to our Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
That our Bowie Chamber does a good job with that. And there are some people probably that are just a little hesitant because some of the fears are real and some are just because of what they hear. But I would recommend anyone that might be in business and has some experience you've dictated, or not dictated, but should be available to begin with. If not, you could direct them to the right people. They may be missing an opportunity because they can read the paper about certain things happening on the federal level, but yet this necessary needs are being advertised to be filled right now. I don't take the reports now, but there is such a thing as a construction report that's looking for people to bid. But one of the minor points, and we've got to, believe it or not, only 5 minutes left.
Oh my.
So I want as much from you as possible, but are the major contractors, you mentioned White and Turner, large. When I first moved to Washington, and that sign was on a lot of buildings downtown. That's been a while ago, '68. And they're still there. Apparently a good contractor, apparently running the business well. I've heard, and several others that you mentioned. But they are changing some of their mode of operation. I found that they are doing more subcontracting than hiring employees from those days when there was a chance that when they started a building, one of those large construction companies, every person working on a building were employees of the company once upon a time. How you get started. But it seems like things have changed so much, Mary, that your opportunities that you're involved with now, I don't know how a lot of small business people would pass it up. an opportunity to get with you and see what's available.
I would agree.
And the outreach is not easy because word of mouth is the greatest thing, I'm sure, in that business too. Did you have any experience with the National Harbor development? Because that was all private.
With the construction, and yes, with some of the companies, they would come to the PTAP and ask, you know, for qualified trades that they were looking for. Likewise, I find our great state of Maryland has an enormous amount of opportunity for small businesses, not only in the construction. I mean, I have a client right now who's supplying porta potties, of all things, to the major construction companies that are building these huge buildings at the University of Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, you know, so there's all kinds of opportunities. The Small Business Reserve Program, if you're a one-person shop or a $6 million a year shop, go to DGS website and register on the Small Business Reserve Program. It costs nothing.
That's a great idea.
10% of all procurements in the state on 23 agencies must go through this SBR.
Well, let me get that again, the source to go there, if you'll repeat that.
Small Business Reserve Program for the state of Maryland. Department of General Services houses the website. So you can Google the Small Business Reserve Program, state of Maryland, and you'll be taken directly to that website. In fact, I just did that this morning. The other is eMaryland Marketplace. The state of Maryland has some wonderful small business opportunities, and how to get to them. We're equipped to help, you know, small businesses to find them as well. So our state has a lot going on.
That's
in
great.
it. So outside of the federal, you know, arena, it's a lot easier to get to the state and to the local governments and actually talk and meet people. And that still is what sales is all about. It's relationship building, and your state and local government affords you that.
That's great, and that's the greatest thing I believe that I personally got from this, because a small business person doing a federal program that's down in Virginia or over in West Virginia or Pennsylvania, they may not have the ability to respond to those. But the state of Maryland is the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, big.
You know, it's been great, Mary Lee, and we're putting information into the program that you've given us, and we can even add more. But there's one thing I want to wrap here, is to present a program locally that we do occasionally. It's a non-profit organization for the Veterans Administration. It's a local Disney's Bell. It's in Bowie, on Old Larbull Run. They're having a comedy night to raise funds for this, and I understand Veterans Day is November 11th. So let me show this to the camera, and hopefully you'll get it. November 15th, I think it is $15, November the 13th, and the information here will add also at the end of the program, so that you can get the phone number and make a reservation and help them in their veterans programs. So thanks a lot. Appreciate you tuning in. Mary Lee, what a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You did great. I think